Hey everyone, I hope that you are doing well. I hope that you had a restful Thanksgiving break, even as we had to stay at a distance from loved ones and celebrate via Zoom and other kinds of technology this year. Um, I wanted to just check in as we are entering Unit 6, our final unit of our Latin American history class. This time we will focus on historical memory and the book Ay Rigoberta Menchú. So even if you choose not to complete the essay as the final project on Ay Rigoberta Menchú, or if you are choosing to complete that essay but not the discussion, the extra credit discussion prompts, you can obviously choose which path you want to take with that. That's the way I've set things up. But I did want to point out that you should spend some time thinking about why there was a bit of a controversy over Menchú's account and what a testimonio is. So do read the first of the extra credit prompts, just the prompt itself, even if you're not going to respond to it, to think about how that book was created and what that says about whether or not we are getting Menchú's true account, if her account speaks just for her, if it speaks for her people, for the Caciquel, or something else. Because these kinds of questions are really important as we study history, as we try to figure out how we can know what we can know about the past, how we can get as many perspectives as possible, and we really want to make sure that we're not obscuring or denying anyone's perspective as we put together narratives about the past. So all of those things come into play with her account. And of course, her account was published in an effort to bring attention to the genocide that had occurred against the Mayan people, the Ixil people, in Guatemala in the early 1980s under Efraín Ríos Montt. So there's a lot of kind of difficult things to deal with here in terms of the violence, in terms of U.S. complicity in supporting that violence, not just in Guatemala, but throughout the region of Latin America during the 70s and 80s. And so one of the questions then to think about as we study historical memory and as we close out the course is how can these histories be meaningful for healing? How can they bring about healing, help a society come back together even after horrific violence, such as we are learning about, such as took place across Latin America in the 70s and 80s? Because that's the reality that a lot of Latin Americans are still dealing with now. Again, whether they're in Guatemala or Brazil or Argentina or Chile, Chile has a sort of a bright spot right now. If you haven't read about that, do go look on Google for the recent protests in Chile and the referendum that passed, which means that the Chileans will be drafting a new constitution. They'll be choosing a constitutional convention from the populace, not just from like the Congress or the legislators, and that constitutional convention will have to have gender parity, meaning there have to be as many men as women in that constitutional convention to draft a new constitution. So they're just embarking on something new that could bring about healing and justice for their nation. What are the things that we might learn from that and might be applied to our understanding of Latin America as a whole as we close out this semester? As I mentioned before, if you find that you're behind, let me know if you have any concerns or if you're trying to figure out how to proceed. At this point, wherever you're at with the coursework, I suggest that you choose a final project, get that done and submit that, and then go back and see what else you might be able to accomplish from Unit 6, Unit 5, and so on. Again, if you're not quite sure how to approach that or how to make a plan for that, please reach out and let me know via email, via text message. I'll be happy to help you work that out. I know that this term has been difficult for all of us. I know that there were a couple of us that I hadn't heard from in a while, and then I did hear from you again, and you had been afflicted with COVID and had been recovering. I know all those things are important and that they take out of our ability to work together on Latin American history, but they're not things that you shouldn't feel like that they have kept you from being able to succeed in our course. There are still ways forward, even this late in the game. So again, please let me know if you need help figuring out how to find that way forward for yourself in terms of getting the final project done and leaving this class as a success. It's been great to work with all of you. I'll probably send one more message next week, so I won't do my adios yet. But I've really enjoyed our work together in spite of the trying times, and I hope that at least in some respect, our class may have been a bright spot for you too. All right, I'll leave it at that. I always get too wordy. I'll talk to you soon.